everybody? Lord Tremendous here. Got another battle report here for you. 2,000 point battle. My Warriors of Chaos versus some more High Elves. And you know what? These are the games that are worth playing because every time a High Elf dies, the world gets a little bit better. The old world becomes purer. And that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring out the goodness, the solid, excellent races, not these awful High Elves that are actually responsible for all the bad things that have happened in the world. And yes, the image on the screen is a little bit of a spoiler, and I'm not going to apologize because it's glorious. But no, this is actually a really great game against a really great opponent, so sit back, relax, and get ready to see the carnage. Here's my list, and there's been no changes to the characters. I really changed up core a decent amount. So my characters, I still have my Chaos Lord, Lord Audacious. He's still my General. Mark of Chaos Undivided on a mana core. Flail, Shield, Favor of the Gods ×2, a Brazen Collar, and the Armor of the Damned. And I gave him Poisonous Slime because I like the kit. It's not the most brutal. No, it's not the Ogre Blade combo. I get that. But 3 up, 5 up, strength 7, unless, the cheater chart gives him more. Rerolling all successful to hits, MR2, and I get to reroll the chart so I don't get him stupid real quick. And with poison, it's just more likely for him to force rolls on my opponent. So I really like Lord Audacious. I think this is the kit I'm going to keep. My Sorcerer Lord, Lord Tremendous, he's on a Demonic Mount, level 4 Wizard with Demonology, Mark of Chaos Undivided, Spell Familiar, Tome of the Dark Gods, Ruby Ring of Ruin, Armor of Meteoric Iron. He's a machine gun of magic missiles. That's really his thing. And then, of course, I have my Exalted Sorcerer, the Puppet Master, and he's on his Chaos Steed, his level 2 Wizard with Battle Magic. He's Mark Zinch, and he's got the Infernal Puppet, hence the name Puppet Master. Here's where I made some changes. I have 584 points in core, starting with 5 butt-naked Chaos Warhounds. Then I have 2 units of Marauder Horsemen at 85 points each. They're Mark Khorne, Light Armor, Shield, Flails, and Javelins. The idea with these guys is they're fast, they're brutal, they're going to charge something. With the Flails, I'm hoping they're able to do something before they get murdered. I gave them Light Armor and Shield because I don't want them to die to shooting unless the Dice Gods have decided they have to go. And at least with Khorne, you have to murder them to a man. I have 2 units of them because basically, why not? It's kind of neat. And then I did something a little experimental here. I have a dozen Chaos Marauders on foot for 125 points. They have a standard because I had the points. They're Mark Khorne for the same reason and everything else. That makes them immune to psychology, and they charge everything. They have light armor, shields, and flails, and they're skirmishers. And the idea with these guys is something I actually saw Flavorous Rex do, and I experimented with earlier, but it was before I was doing reports. The idea with these guys is since Lord Tremendous has Demonology, I get Steed of Shadows, I use Steed of Shadows, I fire these guys off 24 inches in whatever direction, because they're skirmishers, and then they can charge. I don't have to worry about their facing, I don't have to worry about spinning, I don't have to worry about anything other than my opponent turning to face them and shoot them. But if they're gonna do that, it exposes them possibly to my knights, to my other Marauder Horsemen, to a whole bunch of other stuff. And if they don't, more than likely it's a flail, or if I'm really lucky, a rear. And with flails, 2 attacks each, who knows, I get around 4 or 5 of them in base-to-base contact. They're decent initiative. It's a glass cannon, it's dangerous, could be a lot of fun. So I'm very excited to try this unit out and see if I can make it work. And then, of course, I have the staple of 6 Chaos Knights with full command lances, Banner of Rage, Brazen Collar, and the Mark of Nurgle. Basically, they're my cheap chosen, and I love that unit. They don't always produce, but I still love those knights. And then, of course, in special, I still have the best unit in the whole wide world, my Dragon Ogre, Shartak with a great weapon in the Black Plate. And in rare, I have both of my gigantic spawn of Khorne because I love them. My opponent for this one was Wrathgar, and he's a good buddy of mine that's been playing in a lot of these, and he brought his High Elves once again. He revamped the list since the last time I kicked her off for Dragon and smashed some mud in her face, but this is a much more elite list, and it should be a lot of fun to play against. He still has a lot in characters, 994 points. He's got his Prince, Feather Blossom. And yes, you do say that with both pinkies held high. He's his general. He's got a longbow and light armor. He's on a Frostheart Phoenix. He's got the Ogre Blade to see the rebirth and the Anointed of Assyrian. Basically, this guy is just a flying combat, psychopath. He's going to be difficult to deal with. And then, of course, he's got his Archmage, who's not named yet, level 4 wizard with battle magic this time, on a Star Dragon with a Seed of Rebirth and a Lore Familiar, Pure of Heart. She is basically just going to be a serious force to contend with. And even if I am able to get her into combat with a dragon, a Star Dragon no less, I think that might be the toughest dragon in the game. So I'm looking forward to the challenge, but I don't like my odds. In core, he's got a perfect 500 points with 20 Lothran Sea Guard with a standard musician, thrusting spears, warbow, light armor shields, and the Razor standard. And this is a really cool kit. I know it's super common and everyone's going to roll their eyes, but I really like this, especially on a unit like this, since the Sea Guard are so good in both range and close combat. You really get your points for having a Razor standard. So yeah, why not take a full unit of Sea Guard, throw the Razor standard in there? Every shot you get off on a 6 or wounding on a 6, you're going to get that armor bane, and then in the close combat it's the same thing. It just makes it a much more potent unit. And then he's got 2 units of elven archers with musicians, because yeah, they're just there to support the killy characters. And just when you thought a Star Dragon was going to be the biggest problem, on top of a Prince on a Frostheart Phoenix, he's got 498 points of Sword Masters, 27 to be precise. Full command, they're drilled, and the champion has the Lore Master's Cloak, which educated me. I have never seen this item before in the old world. And when I found out what it did, giving him a ward save, a 50-50 chance to beat any magic missile that gets thrown at the unit, I was floored. It's like Games Workshop knew what my tactics were going to be and designed an item to blunt it even further than they already did. So my Machine Gun Kelly magic missile wizard is going to be greatly blunted if he targets the sword masters. So that item, I hate it. I absolutely hate it, but it's genius that he put it in his list. And then of course it's got the Banner of Iron Resolve, because when you have 500 points in infantry on the table, you want to make sure they don't run away. Here are my spells for this one. My Puppet Master got Blue Flame and Arcane Urgency, while Lord Tremendous got the Summoning, Blue Flame, Vortex of Chaos, Steed of Shadows, and Fleshy Abundance. I'm really happy about Steed of Shadows because I'm very curious to see if I can make it work. And my opponent got these spells. This was the most terrifying spell in the entire game, Vol's Unmaking, along with Pillar of Flame, Fireball, and I think that's Hammerhand, but I don't think he got that one. I think he took it by mistake. He switches it out for Arcane Urgency or something like that. I think that's what he actually got. I just took the picture early. We realized it at like turn 2. A buddy of ours that was watching was like, "How do you have 2 signature spells?" And we were like, oops. So we rolled it real quick and ended up, I'm pretty sure with Arcane Urgency, but if I see it during the battle report, I'll call it out. And here's deployment. So my opponent started doing a denied flank deployment, which I did not realize until it was a little bit too late, but it was recoverable. I wasn't too worried. On my left flank there, I've got a unit of Marauder Horsemen, and right behind them are my infantry Marauders. And I'm not super concerned, because if I can get Seed of Shadows off on them, they can get into the fight pretty quick. The Warhounds, of course, are screening for the Knights in the center there. The hope with the Knights is they get into the Sea Guard and can take care of them for me, but more than likely I'm going to have to throw them into the Dragon or the Frost Phoenix and put as many wounds onto those monsters as I can before they get destroyed. And then I send in Lord Audacious to clean up whatever they can't. Behind the Knights is Lord Tremendous. I kept him within 15 inches of the Marauders on foot so that I can try to get Steed of Shadows off on him. And then, of course, with the large targets right there, he can easily fire off his magic missiles should they present targets of opportunity without poking their heads out to be shot at by his archers. I hope. Right next to them is Lord Audacious, right next to my 2 Gribless spawns, and yeah, they're going to slam into whatever monster presents itself first. Simple as that. Even if I get into a challenge, they're providing 2 combat res with close order, which is going to be important in that fight. Right behind them is the Puppet Master. If he gets some shots off, great, but his job is to get the Infernal Puppet within 24 inches of his level 4 on a dragon, which shouldn't be too hard, but I don't want him to get shot up or charged in the meantime. And then, of course, on the right flank, I've got my second unit of Marauder Horsemen with the Dragon Ogre of Doom right behind them. The idea is I don't expect the Marauder Horsemen to survive very long against this much shooting, but the Dragon Ogre should be able to shoot through past them, slam into whatever, and do some serious damage. I'm even toying with throwing him into the Sword Masters. I don't think that's going to be necessary, but it is an idea, if only to block them from charging into the center of the table. But that was really what I was thinking during deployment. On my opponent's side, side, our left flank, his center, will be one of his units of Elven archers standing over there all by themselves. In the middle, he's got a Sea Guard. Behind them are his level 4 and a Star Dragon and his General on a Phoenix. In the woods is his second unit of Elven archers, and right next to them is a massive, insane break of Swordmasters. That's it for deployment. Here's top of turn one, and you can tell I didn't get to go first is because there's absolutely no movement in turn one. No spells go off because there's really I don't think he has an augment or a hex. Not that anyone would be in range if he did have a hex. And yeah, since it's mostly shooting and I've got to come to him, he stands perfectly still. In the shooting phase, his elven archers take aim at my marauder horsemen on the right flank, screening for the dragon ogre, and kill two of them, which is very rude. And then the elven archers on our left flank fire at the marauder horsemen that again just aren't doing anything, and commit two war crimes by killing two of my guys who have literally done nothing but show up. Racists. That brings us over to bottom of turn one, and as you can see, I moved because that's what real armies do. Take note, high elves. Anyway, everything fired forward. The Marauder Horsemen on the left flank and right flank went forward pretty much their max movement, just making sure that, like, on the right side, the Sword Masters couldn't get a lucky charge off. I know they're in the woods. I know it would have been the lower, but as my battle reports have shown, my opponents will roll boxcars when it's required. In the center there, both my Griblies move up onto the hill in order to threaten his army. I'm trying to pull shooting away from the Marauder Horsemen. I would love to get them into the Elven Archers. I think that would be a great matchup for them. I just don't know if it's going to happen. I'm hoping that with the Griblies out there, it'll catch their attention and make them hit. I did move up. I got greedy here, and I moved, what's his face? Puppet Master in between my Lord and one of the Griblies, exposing him to shooting. I wanted to get his spell off on something. I got Arcane Urgency off on him, so I was able to move a little bit further up. I was really hoping to be able to get a spell off and do some damage. It was stupid. It was greedy, and you'll see how that works out in a minute. In the center, the knights and the dogs move up. Just the dogs really are just trying to give them a target opportunity, and the knights are just trying to position themselves to either go after the Sea Guard, the dragon, or the Phoenix, whichever presents itself first. And Lord Tremendous, he got Fleshy Abundance off on himself, and then I rolled too low. I didn't miscast, but I rolled too low to get Steed of Shadows off, so that's why the Marauders only moved up 8 inches. And that's it for movement. In the magic phase, Lord Tremendous is able to get one of his spells off. I believe it's a Ruby Ring of Ruin, and he I'm only able to wound one of the Sea Guards, so that sucks. He dies, but yeah, I got one. Not what I was hoping for. Nothing else happens in my phase. So here's top of turn two after movement. And again, not a whole lot. I think his Sea Guard and his Dragon back up a little bit. His Frost Phoenix fires forward. I don't fully know why. I think maybe he was just hoping to get in the combat or test him out or something. He does have the Ogre Blade, and if he gets a hold of both my Griblies, that could be the end of him. So maybe that was the plan. I'm not 100%, but he shoots out forward, and I'm going to take the bait because why not, right? The rest of his stuff, Sea Guard and the Star Dragon move up. The Star Dragon is right like a half inch or so away from the edge of the board. I think maybe his archers on the left side, on the center left or whatever, our left flank moved back a little bit, but the guys in the woods and the Swordmaster stayed perfectly still on the right flank. That was really it for movement. For clarity, he did move his Pillar of Flame, bounce him through the 4 that you see here, and the only one he was able to put a wound on is the forward-facing, the forward-most Spawn of Chaos. So not ideal, but I wasn't able to get that stupid pillar to go away, so what can you do? In the shooting phase, the unit of Elven Archers on the right flank there shoot at the Marauders and take out one more, bringing their total down to 2. It's still enough to take them out if I can just get them in combat. Over here, the Elven Archers are able to take out 2 more of the Marauder Horsemen. There's still 1, which is, again, enough to take him out if he can get up there. But, oh, they're going to be able to stand and shoot. This is not going to go well. And then the Sea Guard, -1 of their number, fire everything they have at the wounded Spawn and put 2 more wounds on him. Fighting in the shade is not as comfortable as one might think. That takes us over here to bottom of two. And yes, yes, I went into his Phoenix with both Gribblies. I don't get to the impact hits because I couldn't go 3 inches. Maybe that was the reason he moved up, just to negate my impact hits. But I still went forward. Oh, and one of the things I forgot to take a picture of and mention is that he shot and killed Puppet Master. And I'm talking murdered him out of the narrative. That was so stupid on my part. In order to make sure I never do anything that's stupid before, again, Puppet Master is legally dead. I'm not saying that his twin cousin, unnamed, isn't going to be popping up soon, but yes, Puppet Master was murdered last round because I'm an idiot. I'm a greedy idiot. And in order to ensure I don't do something stupid like that again, we decided that in our little narrative, Puppet Master really did die. And his twin brother will show up with a new name by our next game. So, yeah, stay tuned to see what the new name is. Hopefully, it'll be something like "Don't Doest Stupidest Things Againeth" or something along those lines. Something very clever like that, I'm sure. Other movement, though, I was able to get Seed of Shadows off, and I fired my Marauders forward to be on the flank of the Elven Archers, who got a Marauder Horseman and a couple of dogs into them. It was a full unit of dogs, but they stood and shot and killed 3 of them, so they're already sitting on 3 combat res on me. That's not good. On the right there, my other unit of Marauders slammed into the guys in the woods. They did stand and shoot, but they missed, so that was great. And I believe Lord Tremendous charged, or I'm sorry, Lord Audacious charged at the Sea Guard and failed his charge because that's what I do. That's what I do. And meanwhile, both Gribblies went into the Phoenix, and the Dragon Ogre is positioning himself to stop the Swordmaster should they feel froggy and try to march forward. Other than that, the Knights moved up to threaten the Sea Guard, and Lord Tremendous stayed behind them so he doesn't get shot off the table. That's it for movement. Nothing happens in the magic phase because Puppet Master is dead, and Lord Tremendous just couldn't get anything to go off because it's level 4 versus level 4. Just wasn't happening. So we go straight into combat, and man, this combat goes bad. Really, really bad. My Marauder Horseman fails to hit at all. I think I roll all ones and twos. His horse does the same. The dogs do the same. In return, the Elven Archers kill the Marauder Horseman and one of the remaining dogs. I have a dog left. I've lost by 5 or 6, which is sickening to me. The dog fails his break check and flees. My opponent does restrain and lets the one remaining dog go because I think he's tired of the animal abuse jokes. I'm not going to stop making them, but I do believe he's sick of the jokes. Since he restrained, instead of reforming, he redressed the ranks and formed up like that. It does give my Marauders a good chance to charge them. I mean, they have to, they're frenzied. However, I'm pretty sure he's just going to flee, which sucks, but hey, with a little luck, he'll keep rolling 12s, and eventually they'll either be off the table or they'll run through a bunch of my units, and that'll be fun too. But either way, that's the way he ends up after that combat. Combat over here goes much better for me. I'm able to kill 3 of his archers. He does nothing back to me. I win this combat by 2 or 3. I can't remember exactly how much, but it doesn't really matter because his general's easily within 18 inches because he's on a large target. And he makes his break check. He gives ground, or he would give ground, but he's in terrain and butted up against the Swordmaster, so he just kind of stays right where we're at. Not ideal, but at least I'm winning. In combat over here, it gets a little insane. I'm able to put 4 wounds on his general with the Gribblies, which was insane. He was able to put 2 on the one on his flank and 1 on the one in front of him. I believe I win by 2 because of, close order, 4 wounds, flank. It was wonderful. As expected, he makes his break check. He gives ground because he did not fail it at all, so he doesn't fall back in good order or anything, which I was really hoping for because I outnumber him. But it didn't work out that way. He actually made his check no problem, gave ground, and we pursued. I thought about not, but I was like, screw it. It's his turn next anyway. Might as well keep him in combat, so we'll see what happens. With combat over, we go over here to top of turn 3, and his Swordmasters do come forward, so I'm going to have to end up blocking with the Dragon Ogre because I don't want them getting into whatever combat they want. And really, that's it. Everything else pretty much stands still. He was toying with moving his dragon at one point, but decided against it. And so I saw an opportunity. I figured if I could send Lord Audacious into the Sea Guard, kill them, or get them to fall back in good order and bounce through his Star Dragon, then they're off the table. I get those points, and then I could slam into his Star Dragon. And if I can just win combat, I don't care what he rolls. If I can just win combat, since he's so close to the board edge, I've got it. The dragon flees off the table, and it doesn't matter if I pursue or not. I could stop, I could turn around, but I could take care of his scariest friggin' unit, second maybe to the sword masters. I'm I'm going for it. If he since he stayed there, I'm gonna go for it. Might be a terrible idea. It is still a Star Dragon, but I'm gonna go for it. Other than that, really, there's nothing else except in the beginning of the turn when he moved his Pillar of Flame, he bounced it through the spawn and he killed the one with 5 wounds on it. We did roll for Timber. I did slam into his Phoenix. I did do wounds. He made every single save, which sucked. I was so excited. I actually did like 2 or 3 wounds to him, if I remember correctly, at -1 or 2, whatever Timber is, and he made all of his saves. I was so disappointed in that. And I believe he put a wound on this one as well. So, yeah, one of the best Pillar of Flames ever. And yes, I have been trying to get rid of it, and no, I have not been successful. In the shooting phase, his archers shoot at my knights, literally doing only 2 wounds, and both got through. I love my knights. I really do. I don't want to get rid of them, but someone explain to me why they keep forgetting to zip up their damn armor. You have a 3-up armor, and I make saves like they have a 5-up armor. It is driving me insane. With that, we go into combat, and things go from bad to worse. I flub spectacularly with my Marauder Horseman. I mean, 4 attacks plus 2 from the stuff. Just terrible. Just terrible. And yeah, they both die. The Elven Archers kill Frenzied Marauder Horsemen because the Dice Gods are testing me. I was really disappointed with this. Over here, his Phoenix is easily able to destroy my other spawn. I do Timber, I hit him. Again, I do 2 wounds, and he makes both of his saves. It's going from bad to worse quick. And then he turns around and he looks at Lord Audacious like, I'm going to let that happen. I'm frustrated. Like, I didn't expect the spawn to kill him, but when I put 4 wounds on him in the first round of combat, I thought I should be able to put 2 more on him, right? It shouldn't be difficult to pull this off. And when I was doing it, when he was making the saves, I don't know. I guess I'm a brat. But I really thought I had him with the spawn. I thought that was going to be awesome. Yes, they would have died anyway, but when the pillar killed the one and he timbered into him, I thought, that's fantastic. The other guy's going to be able to fire forward 3d6 inches, slam into the archers that just killed my Marauder Horseman, and, maybe even help out the general with the Sea Guard. How great is this about to be? And then he made all of his saves. I wanted to have my cake and eat it too, and I didn't even get to taste the cake. It just slapped in the mouth. It's not fun. And with combat being over, thankfully, it was bottom of turn 3 after movement. Lord Audacious goes into the Sea Guard. They do stand and shoot at him. They do pass their terror check, and they do get a wound through on him. So that sucks, but at least he made it. So now all I have to do is murder them, which will be fun, and hopefully do enough damage to them that they fall back in good order, and they bounce through the Star Dragon. I slam into the Star Dragon, and then I just have to win that combat by 1. Just 1! 1! We'll see what happens there. The knights tried to charge him as well, but failed. The marauders on foot charged the archers, and they fled. And they fled just far enough that they got away, but didn't bounce through the knights, which sucked. I mean, when the dice gods say kiss my ass, I say no, this is not a Slanesh army. Don't ask me to do that. That's weird. And other than that, Lord Tremendous actually moved into position so that he could shoot off his magic missiles at the general without being stopped by the level 4, and hopefully kill him. I just need to do 2 wounds. If I can kill him, that's huge. That would bring a lot more momentum to my side of the table. The Warhound continued to flee because he needs snakes to rally, and the Dragon Ogre backed up as far as he could because those Sword Masters are going to rip him apart. And that's it for movement. In the magic phase, Lord Tremendous pulls it off, putting 2 wounds on that god awful prince, murking him, murdering the phoenix. None of them make it. We collect the phoenix's remains to sacrifice to Corn. The prince does a weird flippy fall out of the sky and lands directly on his neck, killing him slowly, and he's gone. He's dead. And I needed that. For morale purposes alone, I needed that. And since he had a couple of magic missiles left, he fired them off at the archers and were able to kill two of them. So not like a total wipe or anything like that, but he murders a prince, murders a couple of archers. He had a full turn. That brings us into combat, and I don't do terrific. I only kill 4 of the Sea Guard. Make some saves. I didn't roll out of the box or anything like that, but killing 4 still felt pretty good. I win this combat, but he makes his break check by like 1. I think if he rolled 1 higher, he would have broke. He would have been fallback in good order, which sucks. So he gives ground, and he stops as soon as he hits the Star Dragon. Not ideal. Not ideal at all. That's all the combat. So here's top of turn 4 after movement. And yeah, his sword masters, they do drilled and they charge into the dragon ogre and make it. So he's in a bad way. And that's really it. I believe his archers do rally the what's it called? The Vortex of Chaos. Lord Tremendous did get that off, and I believe it bounces through them and maybe kills 1. Not a big deal, but hey, I'll take what I can get. His Star Dragon actually stays put, which surprised me. Even my opponent didn't know why he did that. I don't believe he was throwing. Granted, it was probably around midnight my time when we were playing this game, so exhaustion could have been a factor. But we talked about it after the game. We don't know why he left his Archmage on a Star Dragon there. He wanted to get Vols on making off. He was trying to get rid of my Armor of the Damned because it's so good, and killing a 70-point item with that spell not only would be morale breaking but heartbreaking as well. And Rathgar is, if nothing else, a heartbreaker. So anyway, that's the decision he made. So that's where he stayed, and that was it for movement. So we go into the magic phase, shooting phase, whatever you want to call it. And between his shooting from his archers and his caster firing off at my knights, I lose 2 more, which sucks. But they're still there. They're still frenzied. They're still really, really dangerous. That brings us into combat, and we start with the Dragon Ogre. And unfortunately, he doesn't die, but he only is able to do 1 wound. I believe he's in a challenge, maybe not. I don't remember exactly, but he only does a single wound because the dice gods just aren't happy with me for some reason. He does 2 wounds to me, and then he's got like banner, close order, rank. It's not good. He wins by 4. But he does get away. He ends up getting away by about an inch. My opponent did use drill to redress the ranks to form up into what you see in here, and that's where we end up after the dice are all settled. So he's not dead yet, but I think he's just prolonging the inevitable. But over here, Lord Audacious shows his audacity. He murks like 7 of these guys, with him and the stomps and the manicore and everything like that. I think like 7 die. He takes nothing for his trouble. The unit does fall back in good order, bounces through the Star Dragon. Star Dragon makes the panic check, but the unit's out of my way, which allows me to do this. Yes, the best laid plans finally coming to fruition. Now, all I have to do is win this combat by 1. This is a great picture, too, because you can see exactly how far away from the board edge he is, and that's less than 2 inches. I just need to win combat by 1, and it's all over but the crying. All right, so here's bottom of 4 after movement, and yeah, the Marauders on foot. They charged the archers again, and they fled. The vortex did bounce through them, I think, again, killing 1, and then they ran through it again, failing 2 dangerous terrain checks, believe it or not. The knights charged the archers in the woods because they had to. Of course, they stood and shot, and of course, they killed another one. His pillar of flame bounced through Lord Audacious. I don't believe it did any wounds to him. The dragon ogre rallied, turned to face, and then backed up his minimum, or his maximum anyway, to put him right where he's at. Not out of charge range, but it is what it is. And then the warhound basically is going to run off the table. I'm not going to talk about him again. He did nothing, but they're warhounds. They're naked warhounds. That's their job, screening and then fleeing off the table. Yeah, that is really it. Lord Tremendous did move up onto the hill to fire off at the swordmasters and the archers in the woods. But yeah, that's really it for movement. In the magic phase, Lord Tremendous gets his education on the Lore Master's cloak or whatever it is, basically stopping magic missiles from being able to wound sword masters, which is an incredible item that I'm pretty sure Games Workshop made just to spite me. It should be the anti LT cloak, but that would be a little too on the nose, and they're probably worried I would sue them. But I know it had absolutely nothing to do with me, but leave my ego alone, okay? Don't underestimate my narcissism. How dare you? But yeah, to get back to the story, he was able to kill one swordmaster, which was a shame. Lord Tremendous is nothing if not adaptable, so since it wasn't really working out with the swordmasters, he uses Ruby Ring of Ruin on the archers in the woods, bringing their numbers down to 4. They do pass their panic check, but 4 is a lot less dangerous than they were a minute ago, and I'm hoping to kill all of them by the end of the game. That brings us into combat, and baby, Lord Audacious, mostly thanks to my opponent flubbing spectacularly, is able to win this combat literally by 1. 5-4. We did the math a few times just to make sure. Didn't even bother rolling. Didn't matter. Gave ground 2 inches off the table. The Archmage and the Star Dragon is thwarted. Lord Audacious makes his restraint check as well. Turning to face those archers in the woods that had the audacity to kill not only my knights, but my entire unit of Marauder Horsemen. They cannot be left alive to tell that tale and besmirch the reputation that is the Marauder Horsemen of Khorne. All right, coming off of that victory, here's top of 5 after movement, and really the only thing that happens is his swordmasters charge into the dragon ogres to finish off what they started, and the archers in the woods, I think they're going to try to either finish off my knights or possibly shoot at Lord Tremendous. I'm not really sure. Also, the unit of archers that ran from the Marauder Horsemen last turn failed to rally, and then ran forward again another 4 or 5 inches. Not very far, but that's it for movement. So in the shooting phase, his archers do shoot and kill my final knight. I think he only did 1 or 2 wounds too, which, considering he only had 4 shots, is really impressive. But what the fuck, knights? Zip up your armor. Put your damn helmet on. What do you think you are, Space Marine? 3 up saves. 3 up saves. Come on, guys. Pouting, we go into combat, and he murders my dragon ogre. It wasn't even close. I don't remember how many wounds he did to him, but it was at least 2. And yeah, poor bastard got eviscerated. He passes his restraint test and then redresses his ranks while turning to face over toward Lord Tremendous. There's not a chance in hell I'm charging that unit if I can avoid it, because I choose life. That takes us over to bottom of 5 after movement, and my general does charge his unit of archers, and they flee. They don't flee very far, and he catches them, and then he makes his whatever it is, his leadership check to catch the curs, maybe, to turn and face. The marauders on foot have to charge the fleeing archers who continue to flee. They bounce through Lord Tremendous, and 1 dies. And yeah, that's pretty good. Ignore the pillar of flame; it's gone. We just didn't remove it because there was no point. And Lord Tremendous then just kind of moves around to get an angle at the swordmasters. I know I'm not going to be able to do a whole lot of damage to them, but I might as well. I've got the shots, and there's no way in hell I'm going to charge them. The only thing I regret in this movement phase is facing towards the swordmasters with Lord Audacious, because if he does fail his frenzy check with the mana core, I have to charge them, and that would probably be his end. In the magic phase, Lord Tremendous targets the fleeing archers and kills them to a man, which is great because it's like killing a flea. And then with his remaining magic missiles, he fires them off, and I think 1 more Swordmaster dies, maybe 2. There's no combat, so here's top of turn 6 after movement, and my opponent's not stupid. He redresses his ranks fully, leaving 1 spot in the back so that if I have to charge him, and I challenge, his unit champion can fall to the back, and he can basically get 1.5 million supporting attacks. Smart. I'm not charging him if I can avoid it. Nothing else happens, so here's bottom of 6 after movement. And thank God Lord Audacious was able to pass his frenzy check or willful beast check or whatever, so I didn't have to charge. Lord Tremendous, knowing there won't be a turn 7, boldly moves up onto the hill to unload every magic missile he has. The marauders on foot stay right where they are because they're winded. They've been charging and flying this entire game. And Lord Audacious just hangs out in the woods because, you know what? There's no reason to get any closer. And that's it for movement. In the magic phase, Lord Tremendous unloads every magic missile he has into the Swordmasters, and I think he kills 2 or 3 more tops. It's enough that in total, I kill about 6 of these guys out of 27. So yeah, I really didn't have an answer for the Swordmasters. If I could have gotten into their flank or something like that, maybe, especially when they were arranged like this. But other than that, especially with that Lore Master's cloak or whatever it is, I had no way to deal with them. That was smart. Yeah, yeah. That's a nasty Death Star right there. And there it is. There's the end of the game. It was a victory for Lord Tremendous. He ended up getting 1,127 out of me. I got 1,644 out of him. I did give up my banner to him, which hurts my feelings a little bit, but it is what it is. All in all, though, excellent game. A lot of gambles that worked out for me real well. Tremendous taking down the Phoenix, the what's it called, the Spawn putting 4 wounds on his Prince, Lord Audacious taking out the Star Dragon with the Archmage of Destiny. Yeah, this was excellent. So I can't wait to get into the recap. So let's get to it. Oh man, Lord Audacious for the win. Man, when he got into those Sea Guard, I was like, hurry up and break. And when they kept on not breaking, it was like, don't run. I got really lucky that my opponent made a mistake. And he admitted it. He was like, yeah, that was stupid. I shouldn't have done that. I should have moved her. But he'll never make that mistake again. I promise you that. But yeah, he wanted to get Vols on making off, and he almost did. I just barely rolled out of it. I think I might have stopped it once. It was if he had, though, that would have changed a lot of things, because the Armor of the Damned really did make a difference in that combat. Having to re-roll all of his hits really hurt, and he still did 4 more wounds to him. So, oof! If he had just been rolling average, that would have been really bad. But Lord Audacious just showing off his audacity. Lord Tremendous was an MVP during this one as well. Finished off that awesome floppy Prince, which I was happy about, and killed off the fleeing archers, which you can't not be happy about that, right? But poor sweet Puppet Master, he will be missed. I mean, don't get me wrong, the kit out is going to be the same and everything like that. He just won't be called Puppet Master anymore. But he died for my failings, and I promise that his protege will not fall into the same fate. I hope. I don't know. I get greedy sometimes. At least he was avenged. He was avenged. Lord Tremendous did smoke the bastard and killed the archers, and Audacious, I think, got the unit that actually did cause his death. So there is that. At least no one will be able to tell the tale of the stupid Puppet Master murder. That Sword Master unit, though, for my army, for what I had, especially what I had left, it was unbeatable. Anything that I sent in there was it was a death sentence. Lord Audacious could have went in there with Lord Tremendous, and they would have probably just hacked him to pieces. Sure, I might have been able to do a few wounds to him prior to the end, but no. And it occurred to me, I don't know how to deal with heavy close combat infantry Death Stars like that. I mean, granted, the Swordmasters are unique because they had the thing that stopped me from, well, basically gave them a 4-up ward save against all my magic missiles, which is one of the strengths of my army. So maybe it's just the High Elves I have to worry about. But, man, I'm going to have to think that over, because maybe the giant spawn, but, they were dead by the time the Swordmaster unit was even a thought in the back of my head. So maybe just chaffing them and hoping that they go away. But it was a wonderful slaughter of the High Elves during this holiday season, and what better way to ring in the new year than with the screaming of High Elves. May the dark gods bless you as you desire. Oh, it's a good update. It's a really, really good update this time. So, for characters, I got myself a Prince on his Frost Phoenix. I got myself another Archmage on a Star Dragon, first ever Star Dragon. It's my first Star Dragon, okay? So this is important. Yes. Narratively, the Archmage and the Star Dragon did get away with more mud on their face, but that Prince and that Frost Phoenix did not. We sacrificed him straight to Tzeentch, and the Phoenix went to Khorne because, well, he's I don't know how many Frost Phoenixes he's had, but he's got one now, and I feel good about that. Of course, there was no little level 2 mages running around, so that number stays the same. In core, we got the Sea Guard, so that brings my total up to 90. 20 more, that felt right. And then I added some elven archers to the pyre, 20 in total. First time I've seen them, killed them all, because that's what we do. And then in special, the sword masters, mostly because of that cloak, but also, it was just difficult for me to go after them. Only got 6, bringing my total up to an even 60, which is nice. I like divisible by 5, so it's kind of nice. But yeah, 6 more sword masters added to the death toll, so bringing my total to 60. I feel good about that. And rare stays the same because there were none in this list. So all in all, really, really good numbers to be offering up to the gods. Skulls for the skull throne, blood for the blood god. And now I just get to have some fun showing you the numbers from my previous conquests. Yes, the orcs and goblins are a little thin, but hey, if you're an orc and goblin player and want to play, let me know. I'd love to up these numbers and get a good game in with you. There's the recap of the Wood Elves and the Tomb Kings, the unworthy ones, of course. And speaking of unworthy, here's the Demons of Chaos and the Warriors of Chaos that I've decided needed to go back to the Warp for retraining, because they kind of sucked. And that's it. Another battle report is in the history books. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, feel free to put them in the comment section below, and I will get back to you as quick as I can. And as always, thanks!